Hi, my name is Sarah Bachmann. I want to welcome you to Real Feel Insights. This has been a dream and a vision of mine for the last few years, but really, it's been kind of a creation that I have worked on pretty much most of my life. And I had to write some notes down just because I don't want to really miss anything. And this is who I am. This is really the whole podcast in its entirety. It's real. It's called Real Feel Insights, and it's just an insightful view into my guest's life. We have certain topics that we cover. We can talk about all the way from many forms of abuse to different illnesses, death. We've had some police officers on that have talked about some very like PTSD type of situations, and they were very dark. They were very hard to talk about, but we'll be talking about some of that stuff on this Real Feel Insight podcast. We've talked about things ranging also from infertility all the way to retirement. Like when you make the decision or when to start talking about retirement, one of my guests was very honest about that, and I'm very excited for that podcast to show, because these are things that, everybody's going to probably encounter at some point in their life. Now, some of these topics maybe won't pertain to exactly your situation. Like, let's say that we had one on that was about a mom that had multiple children, 7 children, and how she manages that. And like in our society, big families sometimes are a little bit shunned, and we got into detail about some of that stuff. And so, that might not work for you, or that might not be a podcast that you're going to be interested in, but something else will. And these are just really honest, open, candid conversations. I often tell my guests that I'm not going to ask them questions. I would like them to lead, and then I ask them how they process those situations, the thoughts that they had, what worked for them, what didn't work. And I have learned so much from already maybe 20, 25 guests that we've already recorded, and the knowledge and that I have gained into some of these insightful points of views from my guests on the topic that we covered for that particular session. The other thing is sometimes some of these are going to be pretty heavy. They're going to be pretty hard to listen to. I am an extremely emotional person, and I care deeply. I care deeply about my guests, and it's a burden that I carry when I hear somebody's struggle or trouble. So you're going to see emotions. You're going to see, my guests and myself become emotional because of the content sometimes of what we're going to be discussing. What I have found as I've journeyed through the different seasons in my life is reaching out and contacting others that have gone through similar situations. So let's just use an example. When I lost my husband 3.5 years ago to COVID, I was 46 years old when he passed away. He left behind myself and 6 children, their spouses, and 2 grandchildren. I had to reach out to others that had lost their spouse, and that helped me navigate through those early months in the early couple of years. So when I have guests on my podcast, I will ask some of those honest questions that I needed to ask in those early months. Every single one of my guests, no matter what topic that we are discussing, every one of my guests have always said, if there's one person that they can help, mission accomplished. And truly, that is why this podcast has originated. Right here in my living room, sitting on these 2 chairs in front of our fireplace, talking about real, honest, insightful topics. I have no idea where this is going to go. I'm excited for it. I'm glad that you have joined us. And I look forward to every episode. And I'm just glad you're here. Thanks for joining me on Real Feel Insights.